Everybody wants to act like it's just social media that's responsible for some of the debauchery and real insanity that we see in society. But this is simply not true. You have deranged lunatics, fringe individuals, people full of hate, virulent hatred for individuals because they're different from themselves. In Texas, anti-Semitic flyers were discovered at homes in 2 towns in Texas. Corleyville and Garland. And on these flyers was something very simplistic, something very simpleton-minded in nature. It suggested that every aspect of this quote-unquote COVID agenda is Jewish. Now, I'm no great scholar of Judaism, and I don't think these individuals leaving flyers at people's homes with such other nonsense are either. It would be nice to know in the note if you're going to leave something that stupid and completely ridiculous. It'd be nice if you could pinpoint which specific agenda points for COVID-19 align very perfectly with Judaism. Even I want to know this, because I have no clue. But when you make such a bold claim as every aspect of COVID agenda is Jewish in nature, we need to know what you're specifically referring to. This type of division would exist from bored white supremacists, irregardless of an internet. Now, they have a name of this group who supposedly goes around and does this kind of bullshit. The Goyim Defense League. These are the clowns that went to Charlottesville with their tiki torches, saying Jews shall not replace us, and blood and sword. These are some really dark, demented, very savage nature creatures roaming our planet. And it's not like we don't have experience before. Certain individuals with that mindset were allowed to do bad things, horrible things to other humans before it was stopped through a world war on this planet. So we can't understate the severity of this nonsense. Whenever there is difficulty for a large swath of individuals, you have demagogues who have their own agenda solely of hatred. That's all it is. Because just like in Nazi Germany, it wasn't just Jewish people who were savagely murdered and tortured. No. You had anybody who spoke out against what the Nazi Party was doing. Immigrants who were non-Jewish were tortured and murdered. People who identified as being communists were tortured and murdered. People of color, people who identified as being lesbian, gay, transgender, they were all brutally tortured and murdered by the Nazi Hitler regime in Germany. And someone in this group thought it was a bright idea to leave it in a Ziploc sandwich bag, a photo of Adolf Hitler in Houston, Texas, at someone's home, and say the words, "We can do it again." This is a sickness. This is a real sickness. And we know we have a problem. Sometimes you start developing symptoms when you're sick. We saw a real symptom of the sickness on January 6th. Fuck what anybody says. That was clearly about racism, antisemitism. To its very core, the insurrectionists stormed the nation's capital because they did not want to see a black woman ascend to the vice presidency of this nation. They were ready for civil war when Barack Obama was elected. Stuart Rose said so. He said it's time for civil war. So we know. But we have to be honest. Is this sickness curable? Or is it terminal? We're going to have to take an honest assessment very soon and make a final determination. That's what you do when you have such sickness in your society. You know, they have a hashtag that says white supremacy is terrorism. This is terroristic. And this was done outside of the internet. Sure, you have Nazis on the internet sharing Nazi memes. But this is a group of individuals who are so bored and so full of hatred, virulent hatred towards the Jewish community, that they have time to sit down and cut out photos of Adolf Hitler and put that in a Ziploc bag. And to make sure that it stays at your home and doesn't blow away, they put sand and pebbles and rice in the bag. at your door as an ominous threat to intimidate you for what you are, simply. This is a level of sickness that's unrivaled. You know, this is why I support Antifa. A lot of people are like, Antifa. As long as you have very sick individuals who clearly align themselves with fascist philosophy, you need a collective community to provide mutual aid to fight back. And I guarantee you that it would be a fight. There's no way around it. You know, we know that Germany was the home of the Nazi Party. But they seldom tell you in America that the Nazi members, whose membership numbered upwards of 1 million citizens at one time in this country, they would meet at Madison Square Garden in America. You have the photos in the video reels, but they won't show you. Thousands upon thousands of people clad in brown shirts, marching on the streets of New York. Thousands of people filling the Madison Square Arena, listening to all kinds of pure hatred, being riled to violence. You know, in America, you had the Red Summers. And they didn't call it red for no reason. It was a red summer in America. For decades, every summer, you had race riots and racial violence. And the streets ran red with blood, is what the press used to report. You know, hate is not great, and there's nothing new about this type of hatred. I don't want to fault an entire political party, but I will say this. In 2017, you had Unite the Right. Every conservative Republican in America knew the Nazis were trying to barrel their way into the Republican Party. That was the whole premise of Unite the Right. Fascist extremists on the right wanted into the Republican Party and said, look, we want to unite. We don't all agree on everything. We hate black and Jewish people, immigrants, women. You don't hate them. We do. But Well, let's at least unite. Because look at those scary people over there saying Black Lives Matter. Look at those scary people. Antifa, wearing all black. We need to unite. That was the sales pitch from the Nazis in America. They said, hey Republicans, hey conservatives, hey Christian conservatives, evangelicals. It's not enough of you in the country anymore. And it might not be enough of us in the country, period. But we're prone to violence. And we can get the job done if you let us in. Oh, I know what was said. Is Europa around? You don't know. Let me explain. Europa was a conservative organization that was started up for young European Americans to touch base back with their European ancestry. A lot of white kids in America thought it was really cool and got involved. It was sort of kind of like your khakis and flip-flop wearing kids. It was billed to them, you'll meet up with other white kids. And maybe you'll meet someone just like you. You go out drinking and dancing. And you're happy. It's all white people. There's no black people there. And then they take you out back. Back of the house. And they got a bunch of books. Yeah, books. And they're starting a fire pit. And all the books are written by Jewish authors. It doesn't matter what the subject is. They're Jewish authors. And they have a book burning party. Where they burn Jewish authors' works. And then there's more books. They're all written by black people who are communists. All black people are communists, I'll have you know. According to their logic, which is nothing more than hatred. And then they burn those too. Sorry, Nicole, your book is getting burnt. The 1619 Project. You're a communist black woman who they say all kinds of terrible things about what they want to do. This is a unique type of sickness. We know. Now, you'll have to understand, when certain people found out about this shit, they got the fuck out. They were like, damn. I thought it was just a place for white identitarians to kick back and relax and not have any of those colored people around us. You people hate their existence. And you want to exterminate all of them from the planet. That's not a conversation that everybody wants to have out in the backyard. I'm just saying. We have to be honest about what type of hatred this is and what it'll morph and masquerade itself as. Oh, it's the COVID agenda. Before that, it was QAnon. Before that, it was blood libel. There's always some shifting narrative that will comport and conform to the hatred that they're serving up that particular day, that particular year, that particular season or century. It's on you as an individual to be able to recognize it and not fall for the trap. Because it most certainly is a trap. A rabbit hole of hatred. They say don't fall down the rabbit hole. Because you'll never get back up. Once you start down, it's so much hatred. So much hatred. It's pure hate. And your body can't house all of that energy of hatred without it being volatile and letting it go. And that's why you see that they're so prone to violence. Because the body can't house that amount of negative energy that's transmuted into hatred. These are very, very sick individuals. We as a society are going to have to proceed with caution. Not out of fear, but out of concern. One thing we must always do is never concede the territory and terrain, the hatred. They'll use masking terminology like freedom of speech. But in Europe, they said hate speech is not free. And it's not welcome here. They said that in all of Europe, hate speech is not welcome here. So if hate speech is not welcome in Europe, it's not welcome in China, it's not welcome in Africa, the real central and pressing question you ought to ask yourself, every citizen ought to ask himself individually, is why is hate speech still allowed to be welcome in America?